So what just happened in Utah might feel like another step over the edge. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was shot during an outdoor event at Utah Valley University. It happened around 12:10 to 12:20 p.m. local time. Authorities say the shot came from a nearby building, possibly a rooftop, while Kirk was answering a question from the crowd. He was taken to the hospital and later pronounced dead. The situation is still unfolding, as you know, and some officials said a person of interest was in custody. Others said the shooter was still at large. Federal agencies like the FBI and the ATF are involved, and the only constant so far is the uncertainty. But what's not uncertain is this. A man was shot dead on a university campus in broad daylight during a political event in front of a crowd. This didn't happen in a vacuum. America has seen political violence before. In 1856, Senator Charles Sumner was beaten nearly to death inside the Senate chamber over a speech he gave about slavery. In 1954, 4 nationalists opened fire from the House gallery, wounding 5 members of Congress. In 1968, Robert F. Kennedy was gunned down just after winning the California primary. And in more recent years, Gabby Giffords, Steve Scalise, and Donald Trump have all survived assassination attempts. Let's not forget what just happened in, I think it was Minnesota, earlier this year. And we like to think of these as isolated incidents, but maybe they are warnings. The founders saw this danger coming. George Washington warned of the baneful effects of factional hatred. James Madison wrote that dangerous majorities could mask violence under the forms of the Constitution. And Thomas Jefferson, trying to steady a fractured country, reminded us, we are all Republicans, we are all Federalists, the parties of his time. And Jefferson said this not because we agree, but because we have to share this country anyway. The truth is, the line between rhetoric and violence gets thinner in times like these. The U.S. Capitol Police handled over 9,000 threats against members of Congress just last year. And studies show that when political speech turns dehumanizing or violent, public support for political violence rises. Sometimes it only takes heat, repetition, and one unstable person to tip the balance. So this moment isn't just about Utah. It's about the civic temperature we're all living in. We are angry. We are scared. We are overwhelmed. And those are human responses to a time that feels broken. But if we start meeting ideas with bullets, if we let fear license cruelty, or let ideology replace empathy, then the experiment in self-government doesn't die from an outside threat. It collapses from within. We do need better protection for public figures. We do need leaders and media voices to lower the temperature. But we also need something deeper, something more personal. We need to remember how to be citizens again. Not just people with opinions, but people with obligations to each other. To disagree without hatred, to argue fiercely, but draw a hard line at violence. To model for the next generation what it means to debate without destroying. Because in the end, the real question this moment leaves us with is quiet and solemn. Can we pause the march toward violence and remember how to be citizens again?